Scene 1. The Royal Garden at dusk. You are walking through a Persian garden at the end of day. The air smells of roses and cool water. Your feet move slowly along a stone path. The path winds between low hedges and tall cypress trees. This garden is called a paradisa. Centuries from now, the whole world will borrow this word. They will call it paradise. You are walking through the very idea of paradise right now, and it asks nothing of you except that you be here. The garden is divided into 4 sections by narrow channels of water. The channels meet at a small fountain in the center. You hear the fountain before you see it, a soft, continuous murmur, like a patient friend who never raises their voice. You sit on a low stone bench near the water. The bench is warm from the afternoon sun. It holds that warmth the way stone always does, quietly, without any fuss. A gardener moves slowly between the rose bushes nearby. He does not hurry. He has been tending this garden for many years, and he understands something you are just now beginning to remember, that most things grow better when you stop hovering over them. That rest is not the opposite of care. Rest is part of care. The roses here are deep red and pale pink. Their petals have curled slightly in the evening cool. You notice one blossom drooping over the path, heavy with its own fragrance. You lean forward and breathe it in. It is the kind of smell that fills the whole chest and then slowly, very slowly releases it. 2 small birds land on the rim of the fountain. They drink. They look around with great seriousness, as though they have important business to conduct, then fly away, having apparently decided nothing. You understand the feeling. The sky above the garden is turning from gold to a deep, bruised violet. The cypress trees are very still. They have always been still. They will remain still long after you are asleep, and that thought is somehow deeply comforting. The water in the channel beside you moves with quiet purpose. It does not rush. It was designed this way. The ancient engineers who built these waterways knew that water under pressure makes noise and creates urgency. Slow water calms the mind. So they built the channels wide and shallow. They built rest into the architecture. You lean back against the cool stone wall behind the bench. The wall is rough and solid. You can feel every stone in your back, and each one is a small anchor holding you gently to this moment. The fountain speaks in its low, continuing voice. The gardener has disappeared among the trees. The birds have gone wherever birds go. The last thin thread of gold leaves the sky. You breathe out slowly. The garden breathes with you. And then the sound of the water grows softer and softer still, as though the fountain is gradually remembering that night is a time for quiet, and so are you. Scene 2. The caravanserai at midnight. You have arrived at a caravanserai after a long day of travel. Your pack has been set down. Your shoes have been removed. Someone has handed you a cup of warm tea without being asked, which is one of the kindest things a person can do. The caravanserai is a large square building around an open courtyard. Its thick mud brick walls hold the day's warmth inside. The courtyard is lit by oil lamps hung from iron hooks. Their flames are small and steady. Each one burns without drama, which is its own form of wisdom. Camels rest along one wall, folded carefully into themselves like very large, very opinionated pieces of furniture. They are already asleep. They do not wonder whether they have done enough today. This is something you might consider. The tea is cardamom and something else you cannot name. Something slightly sweet and dry at the edges. You hold the cup in both hands. The warmth travels up through your palms and settles somewhere in the middle of your chest. Around the courtyard, merchants and travelers are settling for the night. There's quiet conversation. Someone is repairing a strap of leather by lamplight. Someone else is already stretched out on a woven mat, one arm across their eyes. The sound of the courtyard is low and layered. Footsteps on stone, the shift of a camel. A whispered exchange in a language you do not quite recognize but somehow understand the feeling of. These caravanserai were built every 30 kilometers along the Great Silk Road. The distance a camel can comfortably walk in a day. The entire ancient economy of spice and silk and glass moved at the speed of a camel's comfort. The world once organized itself around what a large, reluctant animal found reasonable. There is a lesson in there somewhere, and you are too sleepy to argue with it. You find your spot along the inner wall, a rolled mat, a folded blanket, a small lamp on the stone beside you. The lamp flame tilts once in a draft from somewhere and then straightens again. Steady. You lie down. The blanket is heavier than you expected, and that is exactly right. Weight has a way of telling the body it can stop now, that it is held, that it does not need to brace against anything tonight. Above the open courtyard, the stars are extraordinary. The sky over the desert is a different kind of black, deep and saturated and full. You count nothing, you name nothing. You only look. A dog somewhere outside the walls barks twice and then goes quiet. The leather worker sets down his work. The lamp beside you flickers once, twice, holds. The tea has gone cool in your cup. You set it gently on the stone. You pull the blanket a little higher. The stars do not move. The walls do not move. The flame beside you bends slowly, leans and exhales its last small light into the dark. Scene 3. The Hammam before dawn. You are in the Hammam before the rest of the city has woken. You found your way here in the dark, guided by warm lamplight spilling under a low wooden door. Someone inside was already expecting people like you, people who need quiet before the world gets loud. The entrance room is cool and dry. You leave your outer robe on a cedar peg. The cedar smells faintly sharp, like a memory of forests somewhere far north of here. You move through a second door into the warm room, and then through another into the room of deep heat. The heat is soft here, not sharp. Steam rises from a central stone basin and settles against the domed ceiling. The dome is pierced with small star-shaped openings. Through them you can see the dark sky beginning, very faintly, to consider the possibility of dawn. You sit on the warm marble bench. The marble is smooth and vast and unhurried. It has been here for a long time. It will be here long after this morning is over. Marble is good company for that reason. The hammam is nearly empty at this hour. One old man sits in the far corner, eyes closed, perfectly still. He could be meditating. He could be asleep. He has clearly decided that the distinction does not matter, which is a form of advanced wisdom you are beginning to appreciate. A young attendant moves silently around the room, refilling the stone basins with warm water from a copper ewer. He pours the water in a slow arc. The sound it makes is a long, continuous note, low and resonant, that fills the dome and then gently fades. In the cities of ancient Persia, the hammam was also a place of news and conversation, of business conducted in whispers, of arguments resolved and friendships deepened. But at this hour it is none of those things. At this hour it is simply warmth and steam and the sound of water finding its level. You lean back against the wall. The stone is so warm it feels almost alive. The heat reaches through your shoulders into the muscles on either side of your spine and asks them politely to let go. They do. One by one, in small surrenders, they do. The star-shaped openings in the dome are lightening, almost imperceptibly. The black is becoming charcoal. The charcoal will become gray, the gray will become the pale gold of early morning. But that is all a long time away from where you are now. Where you are now is here, in the warmth, with the sound of water and the small breathing of the room around you. You close your eyes, the steam rises. The old man in the corner has not moved. Somewhere outside, a single bird considers singing, decides it is too early, and goes back to sleep. A sensible decision, you think. A very sensible decision indeed. Your own breath slows to match the room. Slow, then slower, then slower still. Scene 4, the scriptorium at noon. You are sitting in a scriptorium at the height of the day. Outside, the sun is absolute. The streets of the city are bright and loud and full of motion. But in here, the shutters are half closed and the room is cool and amber lit and slow. Long tables run the length of the room. At each table, a scribe sits with a reed pen and a small pot of ink. The scribes work in near silence. The sound of the room is the sound of reeds moving across paper, a soft continuous whispering like distant rain on a flat roof. You have been given a seat at the end of one table. In front of you is a sheet of smooth paper and a pen you are not expected to use. You are here to observe and perhaps to rest, and the room does not find this strange at all. The paper they use here is remarkable. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad drew scholars from across the known world, and among the things they gathered was the technique of paper making, carried from the East. Before paper, knowledge was heavier. Clay tablets, papyrus, animal skin. Knowledge that required effort to carry tends to stay in one place. Paper gave ideas a way to travel light. You look at the scribe nearest you. He is copying a text on astronomy. The characters are small and precise. He works with the focused calm of someone who has found the exact right speed for his hands. Not fast enough to rush, not slow enough to lose the thought. That speed, the one where work feels effortless, is something every person searches for in their own way, in their own time, in their own kind of room. The noon heat presses softly against the shutters. A thin line of white light lies across the floor. It does not move quickly. You can barely see it move at all, but it is moving, as all things are, at the pace that is exactly right for it. Someone near the door is grinding a fresh block of ink. The sound is circular and rhythmic, a small stone wheel turning. It is a sound that has no urgency in it whatsoever. You find yourself breathing in time with it. A boy brings around small cups of cooled rose water. You take one. It tastes like the garden from the first evening, like something remembered more than tasted. You set the cup down carefully. The scribe's right. The ink wheel turns. The line of light moves so slowly across the floor it has almost convinced you it is not moving at all, which is a small and gentle trick the afternoon often plays on people who are sitting very still in cool amber light with nothing they need to do. Your head becomes heavy in a pleasant way. The sound of reeds on paper surrounds you like water. You let your eyes close just for a moment. The room continues its quiet work without you, and this, you realize, is perfectly fine. A spreading silence fills the space between one breath and the next. Scene 5, the rooftop under stars. You have climbed to the rooftop as the city falls quiet. The stairs were narrow, and the night air met you before you reached the top, cool and sudden and welcome. Now you are standing on flat, warm stone, and the sky above you is immense. The city spreads in every direction. Flat rooftops and domed buildings and the thin, dark lines of streets below. Lamps are still burning in a few windows, but most of the windows are dark. Most of the city has already done what you're about to do. you find the low cushioned bench set against the parapet wall. Someone placed it there deliberately, at exactly the right angle, facing south and slightly east. The person who put it there understood something about where the good stars are. You sit, and the cushion receives you with no complaint. In ancient Persia, the astronomers were also the poets. They mapped the sky and they wrote about longing and impermanence and the way a single night could contain everything. They were not wasting time. They had simply noticed that looking up is different from looking forward, and that different is sometimes exactly what is needed. The stars tonight are unhurried. They have been in their positions for longer than language has existed to describe them. They will remain long after the last lamp in this city has gone cold. They are the oldest ceiling there is, and they have never once asked you to be more than you are. You lean back against the parapet wall. The stone gives you its last warmth. You tip your head up. One star is brighter than the others, holding its position in the south with quiet certainty. You have no name for it tonight. Names are for the morning. Tonight it is simply a point of cool light, steady and patient, asking nothing. A breeze moves through the rooftop. It lifts the edge of the cotton cloth beside you and sets it back down. It moves across your face like something considerate. You breathe it in. Below, the city makes its small night sounds. A door somewhere, a distant animal, the faint sound of water in a channel, slow and faithful, doing what it has always done. The cushion under you is deep and soft. The wall behind you is solid. The sky above you is full and calm and completely without any agenda for you whatsoever. You think of the scribes asleep over their papers, the merchants in the caravanserai wrapped in heavy blankets, the old man in the hammam who decided long ago not to make any unnecessary distinctions. You think of all of them, and then you think of nothing. The stars hold their places. The breeze moves once more and does not return. And slowly, gently, softly, your eyes close on their own, the way flowers close at evening, not with effort, but simply because the light has changed, and the body always knows what the light is telling it. Humber Scene 6. The Garden at Dusk. You have wandered into the garden as the last light thickens. The day has not ended so much as softened. The air, which was sharp and bright an hour ago, is now something else, something slower, something that invites you to stop walking and simply be somewhere. You stop walking. The garden is walled on four sides. This was deliberate. The Persian word for this kind of garden, paradisa, is the word from which paradise was made. The people who designed these spaces understood that beauty requires a boundary, that rest requires an edge where the ordinary world agrees to wait. A channel of water runs through the center, dividing the garden into quarters. It moves slowly, just fast enough to make a sound, a continuous low murmur, like someone telling a long story with no particular urgency about how it ends. You follow the path along the channel. The stone beneath your feet is still warm from the sun. The rose bushes on either side are full and heavy-headed, their scent released by the cooling air in a way they would not give it in the heat of midday. Flowers, it turns out, also have a preferred hour. You cannot blame them. At the center of the garden, where the two channels cross, there is a small platform of stone. On it, a single lamp. The flame is perfectly still. There is no wind here, inside the walls. The flame burns as though time itself has agreed to pause around it. You sit beside the lamp on a low stone bench. The garden continues being a garden around you. A bird settles somewhere in the pomegranate tree, rearranges itself once, and becomes silent. The roses hold their color a little longer than the rest of the light does. There is a kind of intelligence in a well-made garden. It does not try to entertain you. It does not present itself with any urgency. It simply arranges beauty at the right scale for a human body to sit inside and remember that arrangement is possible. That something as complicated as a day can end with this much quiet. The lamp flame leans 1 degree and recovers. The water murmurs its long story. You rest your hands in your lap, and they feel heavier than they did a moment ago. Pleasantly so, as if they have finally put down something they were carrying without knowing it. The first star appears above the south wall, then another. The sky between them is the color of dark water and the color of rest, and the color of something that has no name yet, because language is asleep and only the feeling remains. Your breath slows. The garden holds you at exactly the right distance from everything. The lamp flame grows still, and the light, which has been dimming so gently you did not notice it moving, dims a little more and then a little more, until the garden is soft and dark and full of the quiet of things that have agreed, all at once, to be still. Harp Scene 7, the Caravanserai Courtyard. You have arrived at the caravanserai at the late hour when the courtyard is settling into itself. The journey here took longer than expected, as journeys often do, and yet here you are. And here's a place prepared entirely for the purpose of stopping. The caravanserai is a large square building with a central courtyard open to the sky. Around the perimeter, arched doorways lead to small rooms, each one modest and clean and sufficient. Lanterns hang at intervals along the arches. Their light is orange and low and does not demand anything of you. Merchants have been stopping at caravanserais like this one for centuries. In the Safavid era, the great road between cities was lined with them, placed a day's walk apart, so that no traveler ever had to face a second night in the open. Someone, a long time ago, calculated the distance a body could reasonably travel, and then put a place of rest at exactly that point. It was a practical act of extraordinary kindness. The camels have been settled at the far end of the courtyard. They make their low internal sounds, a kind of rumbling contentment, the noise of large animals that have also decided the day is finished. One of them looks at you with its long, unhurried eyes and appears entirely unsurprised by everything. You find a place near the low central fountain. The water rises and falls in a thin arc, touching the pool below with a soft, repeated sound. Around the fountain, other travelers are already at rest. A merchant from the east is asleep, sitting upright against a rolled blanket, which suggests either deep exhaustion or a remarkable talent you have not yet developed. Someone has left a tray nearby, flatbread, a small dish of honey, dried apricots. You take a piece of bread. It is simple and right. The best food is often the food that knows exactly what it is. The courtyard is full and quiet at the same time. The sounds within it, the fountain, the camels, the occasional murmur of voices, exist in a balance that feels chosen. The walls hold all of it. Nothing escapes into the night. The night stays outside and you stay inside, and the arrangement is comfortable for everyone involved. You rest your back against the warm stone. Above the open square of courtyard, the stars are in their places. The lanterns along the arches burn their low orange light. The fountain touches the pool, touches it again. You think about the road that brought you here, and then you think about how roads exist to lead to places where you stop. And then you think about nothing, because nothing is what the courtyard is gently, persistently, and very successfully offering you. Your breathing deepens without instruction. The fading sound of the fountain follows you down, quieter, quieter, until it is barely sound at all, more like the memory of water, easy and continuous, carrying you gently into rest. Scene 8. The Potter's Workshop. You are sitting in a corner of the Potter's Workshop in the early evening. You were passing and the door was open, and the Potter made a gesture that meant come in, sit. There is no requirement to do anything. You accept it immediately, which shows good judgment. The workshop smells of wet earth and wood smoke and something mineral and ancient. The walls are lined with finished pieces, bowls and ewers and tall, narrow vases, their glazes catching the lamplight in blues and turquoises and the deep green of still water. Every object here began as clay pulled from the ground. Every object here had to be shaped and fired and cooled before it became itself. Becoming takes time. The workshop knows this without needing to say it. The potter is at the wheel. She works with her hands close together around a rising form, and the clay responds with what looks like willingness. Persian pottery of this period was among the most refined in the world. Its techniques carried and exchanged along the trade routes, each city adding its own understanding of color and form. A single bowl could carry in its glaze evidence of 3 different civilizations agreeing on beauty. You watch her hands. There is something in the act of watching someone work slowly and well that loosens something in the chest. The wheel turns. The clay rises. The hands guide without forcing. The form that appears is neither planned in advance nor entirely improvised. It exists in the patient space between intention and surrender, which is, you slowly realize, also where sleep exists. The lamp on the work table sends its light across the surface of finished bowls. The blue glaze holds the light and gives it back differently, softer. The turquoise pieces seem to carry their own interior glow, as though they remembered the fire and kept a small amount of it for themselves. A cat is asleep on a folded cloth in the corner. Its breathing is so slow and complete, it has become a kind of instruction. You find yourself studying it with admiration and a mild sense of ambition. The wheel slows. The potter does not speak. She lifts her hands from the finished form and regards it with the calm of someone who has learned to accept what the clay decided. Sometimes the work surprises you. She seems to consider this a reasonable arrangement. She sets the piece aside and covers the wheel. The cat does not stir. The lamplight gathers on blue and turquoise and green, on the round shoulders of 100 finished bowls, on centuries of slow and patient hands. Your own hands rest open in your lap. The room is warm and close and finished with the work of the day, and a slowing breath moves through you. One long exhale, quiet as a wheel coming to rest, as the clay settles, as the fire in the kiln breathes down to its last amber warmth and holds. Scene 9. The philosopher rests. You are in a small room at the back of a library that no one is currently using for anything urgent. A single high window admits a column of last light. The room contains 2 chairs, a low table, and more books than the room was probably designed for. You are in one of the chairs. The other chair is empty, which feels deliberate and companionable in equal measure. On the table between the chairs is a book left open. You can see the script from where you sit, precise and flowing, but you do not read it. Reading is for a different hour. This hour is for something quieter than reading. Ibn Sina, the great Persian physician and philosopher, is said to have written on the subject of sleep with the same precision he brought to medicine. He understood that the mind does not rest by stopping, but by releasing its grip on the particular. Thoughts continue. They simply stop being held so tightly. They drift, like objects released into a slow current, still present, still moving, no longer requiring anything from you. You consider this and then you stop considering it, which is perhaps the point. The last light through the high window falls on the open book and on the empty chair and on the floor between them. It is the color of old honey. It does not move, or move so slowly. The movement is indistinguishable from stillness, which is a distinction that feels less important than it did this morning. The library beyond this room is quiet. Occasionally you hear the soft displacement of air that means someone has turned a page somewhere distant, or perhaps closed a book, or perhaps simply exhaled in a room full of old knowledge and felt, momentarily, that the knowledge was companionable. Your thoughts arrive and you observe them without particular engagement. This is harder than it sounds in daylight. In the amber light of this small room, at this hour, it is surprisingly easy. The thoughts seem to understand the atmosphere and adjust accordingly. Even the busy ones slow down. One thought about tomorrow appears, looks at the room, and decides to come back later. The column of light from the high window shortens by degrees. The open book holds its page without urgency. The empty chair remains empty and does not find this a problem. You feel the weight of your body distributed through the chair in a way you did not notice before. Each part of you accounted for and supported. Your shoulders, your hands, the back of your head resting against the cool plaster wall. The philosopher, you think, had the right idea. Not about everything, perhaps, but about this. About how a small room in a low light and the absence of obligation can undo a day more thoroughly than almost anything else. The light dims once more. Your eyes close, and behind them, your thoughts release their grip on the particular and drift, as he described, into the open and unhurried current of sleep. Scene 10. The hammam at midnight. You have returned to the hammam, but the hour is late now, and the world outside has fully given itself to night. The streets were empty on the way here. Your footsteps were the only sound, soft on old stone, and even they seemed reluctant to make too much of themselves. The hammam at this hour belongs to the steam and the silence in equal measure. The attendants move like shadows at the edge of the room. The oil lamps are turned low. The marble is warm beneath you in a way that goes past warmth into something that has no exact word in any language you know, only a feeling of being received completely, held without effort, asked for nothing. The dome above you is pierced with small round openings, each filled with colored glass. In the Persian hammam tradition, these openings were not merely practical but considered. The light they admitted, even at this hour, even with only the moon and the stars beyond them, falls through amber and blue and rose-colored glass onto the steam below, and the steam takes the colors and diffuses them through the room until the air itself seems to have been gently dyed. You are breathing colored air. You are somehow completely fine with this. Your body has been in various states of effort all day without acknowledging it. Walking, deciding, holding the posture of someone who has things to attend to. The heat releases all of this so gradually you are not aware of any single moment of letting go, only of a general reduction in everything that was unnecessary, until what remains is simply you, warm and horizontal, and almost entirely without agenda. A small dipper of water is poured somewhere across the room. The steam rises, a sound like a single breath drawn slowly by the building itself. You think of the astronomers on their rooftops, and the scribes at their long tables, and the potter with her steady hands, and the merchant asleep upright against his blanket with his inexplicable talent. You think of all the rooms you have rested in, all the lamps you have watched burn low, all the water sounds and stone warmths and slow amber lights. Every one of them was the same room at some level. The room where the day agrees to end. The room where the body is finally permitted to remember what it actually is, which is not a list of tasks, but a warm and breathing thing that requires, at regular intervals, to be still. The steam thickens. The colored light through the dome grows softer. Your breathing has slowed to the pace of the room. Someone near the far wall is already asleep. Their breathing is deep and absolute and sounds like an invitation. You close your eyes. The colored air holds you. The marble holds you. The old dome holds everything. And a spreading silence moves through the hammam like warm water, filling every space, reaching every corner, until the room is nothing but silence and steam and the deep, undisturbed dark behind your closed eyes. Scene 11. The orchard after dusk. You are sitting against the trunk of an old pear tree in a walled Persian garden. The wall around you is high and made of pale brick that has absorbed decades of afternoon sun and is now releasing it slowly, quietly, the way generous things give back what they have been given. The orchard is not quite dark. The sky above the wall holds the last residue of evening, a thin blue that deepens as you watch, or does not deepen, because you have stopped watching with any particular intention and are simply present beneath it. Persian gardens were designed around a specific idea. Not beauty exactly, though beauty was present. The idea was paradise itself. The word comes directly from the old Persian paradisa, meaning a walled enclosure, a bounded place set apart from the world's noise. You are, in the most literal sense, inside the original paradise. This feels both significant and oddly manageable. The pear tree behind you has opinions about nothing. Its bark is rough and warm through your clothes, and it has been here long enough to find your presence entirely unremarkable, which is a comfort. The irrigation channel running along the far wall makes a sound so continuous it has become part of the silence rather than a disruption of it. Water over old stone. A sentence that ends and begins again without pause, meaning nothing, requiring nothing, absolutely unwilling to stop. Somewhere in the branches above you a bird settles and resettles, and then, apparently satisfied with some private arrangement, goes still. You have carried something with you into this garden. Some remainder of the day, some thought that has stayed past its welcome. You are aware of it in the abstract way. You are aware of a pebble in a shoe you have already removed, the memory of pressure rather than pressure itself. The garden air is cooler now than the wall, and the two temperatures move against each other in a slow drift that touches your face without urgency, without agenda. A pear falls somewhere to your left, a soft landing on old grass. No consequence. The tree does not remark upon it. The orchard absorbs it completely and returns to its previous state, which is a kind of deep and fragrant stillness you did not know you needed until you arrived inside it. Your back against the tree, the channel running, the sky completing its long turn toward night. You think that paradise, if it means anything, means exactly this. Not grandeur, not perfection. Simply a place where nothing is required of you, and the trees are old, and the water keeps moving, and the air is warm and cool at once, and the day, which was considerable, has finally, completely agreed to be over. The last blue drains from the sky above the wall. The first stars arrive without announcement. Your breathing finds the pace of the water in the channel, slow, continuous, returning always to where it began, and the sound of it carries you, gently and without effort, down into the soft dark of sleep. Scene 12. The cartographer's long table. You are in a room that smells of ink and beeswax and the particular dusty warmth of parchment that has been handled often. You are seated at a long table covered with maps. Not your maps. You have not made these and are not responsible for them, which is immediately relaxing. The maps show coastlines and mountain ranges and the long blue threads of rivers. Some of the rivers have names written beside them in careful script. Some of the coastlines are precise, some are optimistic. The cartographer, you sense, was doing their best with available information, which is all any of us can honestly claim. The lamp at the end of the table burns with a steady orange flame. It has been burning for some time and has achieved a kind of settled confidence in its own continuity. The wax pool around the wick is perfectly still. In the 9th century, the Persian geographer Ibn Khordadbeh produced one of the earliest systematic route books of the known world, cataloging roads and provinces and distances with a thoroughness that suggests he was either very dedicated or had strong feelings about being lost. His work was copied and carried and consulted across continents. Some of his distances were slightly wrong. This did not diminish the effort. You look at the map in front of you without studying it. Your eyes move across mountain ranges that no longer need crossing tonight, past cities that are sleeping, along rivers that do not require your navigation. Every map is an act of faith, you think. Someone believed the world was knowable, believed it was worth the trouble of recording, believed that someone, somewhere, sometime, would need to know where the river bent and what lay beyond the pass. That person is not you, not tonight. Tonight you are in the warm room behind all the traveling, in the place the traveler returns to, and the maps on the table are simply beautiful objects that ask nothing of you and have already been somewhere and come back. A moth finds the lamp and circles it once and then thinks better of the whole enterprise and disappears. Sensible, the flame does not flicker. The ink on the maps is dry. The distances are all, for now, academic. Your hands rest on the table, open, unheld. The room is very warm, the particular warmth of a room that has been occupied by quiet work for many hours and has retained the heat of concentration, though the concentration has now departed and left only the warmth behind. Your eyes trace a coastline and then lose it. The lamplight dims slowly, as lamps do when they have been burning long and faithfully and are nearing a natural rest. The maps, the mountains, the long blue rivers, all of it softening at the edges of your vision until the world, so carefully recorded, blurs gently into the simple dark behind your closing eyes. Scene 13. Rain on the caravanserai. You arrived here before the rain. This feels like a minor but genuine victory. The caravanserai is a large square building around a courtyard, and you are in one of the deep-set rooms along the inner wall, on a low bed with a wool blanket, listening to rain arrive on the roof and courtyard stones with a sound like someone beginning a long and unhurried explanation. The caravanserai was a practical invention that became, over centuries, something more. Every day's journey in medieval Persia was measured in the distance between them, a unit called a farsak, roughly the distance a loaded mule could walk before requiring a rest, which suggests the measurement was designed by someone paying close attention to mules. You understand this instinct. Some days are best understood by what the slowest, most sensible party requires. The other travelers in the rooms around you have mostly settled. Through the thick walls you hear almost nothing, only the rain, and occasionally the deep, contented sound of a camel in the covered stable on the far side of the courtyard, reviewing the day in whatever way camels review days, which appears to involve significant sighing. The wool blanket is heavy in the particular way of wool blankets in old stone buildings, present and substantial, a weight that feels like a considered opinion rather than an accident. You have covered a distance today. It does not matter what kind. The body keeps its own records. Your legs remember the ground. Your shoulders remember what they carried. These memories are not unpleasant. They are simply the evidence of a day that happened and is now behind you, folded into the growing stack of days that brought you here, to this room, to this rain, to this exactly sufficient blanket. The courtyard outside collects the rain in the central pool. You can hear it change pitch as the water deepens, a slow tonal shift that would require considerable attention to notice, and which you notice anyway because the room is quiet enough that subtlety becomes available. You have not thought about tomorrow's road for some minutes. You notice this and decide it reflects well on you. The lamp in the wall niche is nearly spent. Its light has been declining so gradually that you cannot identify the moment it became dim. Only that it began the evening bright and is now the color of an ember, casting just enough light to confirm that the room is still the room and the blanket is still present and nothing is required. The rain continues its explanation without reaching any conclusion. The camel exhales once more, philosophically. Your body settles deeper into the low bed, each part of you arriving at rest in its own time. Your feet, your hands, the back of your neck, last of all your thoughts, which have been the most reluctant travelers all day and are now finally unpacking. The ember light fades, and is gone. Scene 14, the weaver's last thread. You are watching a loom in the last light of a workshop at the edge of a Persian town. The weaver finished working an hour ago. The loom stands the way skilled things stand when they are resting, with a kind of poised stillness that holds the memory of motion. The carpet on the loom is half complete. The pattern so far is geometrical and intricate, a field of deep red with borders of midnight blue, and you study it for a moment before understanding that you cannot find where one decision ends and another begins. Every choice led to the next. Every thread holds the ones beside it. The whole thing would be quite different with a single color changed, and also, somehow, it would be the same carpet. Persian carpet patterns were not improvised. The master weaver carried the entire design in memory, calling out knot colors to assistants row by row, the whole image existing in one person's mind before a single thread was placed. This seems either admirable or exhausting, depending on what kind of day you have had. Tonight, it seems admirable. The workshop is warm from the day's working and from the dye pots that were heated this morning and have been cooling since. The smell is complex and not unpleasant. Wool and cedar and something faintly mineral. You are sitting on a low bench near the door, which is open by a hand's width, and through it comes the night air of the town, cooler than the workshop, carrying the distant sound of a fountain in a square you cannot see. The half-finished carpet holds its pattern without apology. It is what it is. It will be more eventually. Tonight it is exactly as complete as it needs to be, which is a thought that slides sideways and applies to other things before you can stop it. The day, yourself. Various projects you have been stern with yourself about, complete enough for tonight. This seems reasonable. This seems in fact generous and correct. The fountain in the unseen square continues in its one-note conversation with the dark. Your eyes move over the carpet's geometry without solving anything. Red, blue, the occasional thread of ivory tracing a path between. A logic you can feel without following. An order that does not require your participation. The last light in the workshop comes from a small lamp on the weaver's workbench. Burning down through a long night shift, it did not ask for, but has accepted without complaint. You lean back against the wall. The bench is smooth from years of use. The pattern on the loom is patient and complete and half-complete, and it does not mind either state. The fountain speaks to the square. The lamp burns lower, and your breath slows to the pace of the night air through the open door, in and out, like a thread pulled gently, slowly through the warm and quiet dark. Scene 15. The astronomer's roof at dawn. You have been on this roof for what might be an hour, or might be considerably longer. Time moves differently at altitude and in the dark, which the astronomers who built this platform understood, and probably wrote several things about. The city below is not yet awake. You can tell by the quality of the silence, which is the genuine article rather than the pause between noises. This hour belongs to the roof and the sky and you, and possibly a cat on the wall below, who has been aware of your presence since the beginning and has formed no strong opinions about it. The astronomer Nasir al-Din al-Tusi built an observatory at Mariga in the 13th century with instruments of remarkable precision, staffed by scholars from across the known world, producing tables of planetary motion accurate enough to be used by navigators and calendar makers for centuries afterward. He sat on nights like this one and watched the sky with methodical patience and wrote down what he saw. The stars did not perform for him. He simply showed up consistently and paid attention. There is something in this you recognize, though you are too close to sleep to name it exactly. The eastern sky has begun, not with color yet, only with a slight diminishment of dark, a thinning as though the night is becoming less certain of itself. The stars near the horizon are the first to soften. You have not been watching for anything in particular. You watch the stars move in their slow arcs, which they do whether observed or not, but seem to do with more dignity when noticed. You watch the moon complete its long descent behind the western edge of the city. You watch the dark simply be dark, which requires no effort from you and rewards a certain quality of attention you rarely manage before midnight. Your back is against the low parapet. The stone is cold in the way that has moved past uncomfortable into simply present, a fact about the world rather than a complaint. The cat on the wall below stands, stretches into an unlikely shape, and folds itself back into stillness. It has done this 3 times. It seems to be working through something. The sky continues its long, unhurried brightening. You are not required to stay for it. The dawn will complete itself competently without your supervision. Al-Tusi knew this too, you think. He did the work and then, presumably, slept. The first warmth of not yet light touches the edge of the roof. The city begins somewhere far below, the first small sounds of beginning. Your eyes, which have been open for a long time, find this moment as good as any, and close. The brightening sky continues above you, gentle and vast, and the spreading light asks nothing of you, means nothing urgent, holds you in its slow and wordless arrival as you drift, finally, completely into sleep. Scene 16. The garden's last fountain. You are sitting inside a walled garden in the hour after the evening meal. The household has gone in. The lamps were lit inside some time ago, and their light reaches the garden only as a warmth along the top of the inner wall, too soft to see by, just enough to know it is there. The garden has 4 quadrants divided by narrow channels of water, which is how Persian gardens have always been arranged. The design is called Chaharbagh, 4 gardens, and it is old enough that no one remembers who first understood that crossing 2 lines of water would produce something that feels like peace. Someone understood it, someone drew it in the dust, and another person looked and said, yes, that. They were correct, and their correctness has been quietly proven by every person who has sat where you are sitting since. The fountain at the center where the channels meet is small and unself-conscious. It does not arc dramatically. It rises, turns, falls. It has been doing this since before you arrived and will continue after you leave, which tonight feels more like a comfort than an indifference. The roses along the eastern wall have closed for the evening. Their closing is their own business, and they have managed it without announcement. A moth circles the lamp nearest the inner door, conducting an investigation that has been ongoing for some minutes and has not produced conclusions. You have watched it long enough to feel a mild, sleepy solidarity. Some circles are not meant to resolve. The air is cool and holds the day's warmth underneath the cool, layered, both things true at once. Your feet are on the tiles beside the channel. The sound the water makes in the channel is lower and steadier than the fountain, a soft, continuous consonant, the kind of sound the mind stops translating after a while and simply receives. You have been meaning to go inside. This thought has arrived 3 or 4 times and departed without result, which seems fine. The jasmine along the south wall releases more scent at night than during the day, which is either consideration or coincidence and produces the same effect regardless. You breathe it in without deciding to. The moth abandons the lamp and disappears into the dark above the roses. The fountain rises and falls. The channels carry their quiet conversation toward the 4 walls, and the walls hold everything still. You are not solving anything tonight. The garden is not asking you to. It was designed by someone who knew that a person needs a place where nothing is required, and they built the water in so the silence would not feel empty but full, running, gently present. Your breath has slowed without your noticing. The fountain continues, and the sound of the water surrounds you and holds you, and the sound and your breath and the dark garden become one thing, one continuous soft sound, fading now, fainter, until there is only the water, and then only the memory of water, and then nothing at all but sleep. Scene 17, the caravanserai at midnight. You are lying on a sleeping mat in a room that has held travelers for 500 years. The caravanserai is built square around a courtyard, which you crossed earlier tonight under a sky of considerable stars, and every archway you passed through was the same arch repeated, which either signifies the elegance of repetition or saved a great deal of design work, possibly both. Your mat is in one of the small vaulted cells along the north side. The ceiling above you is a shallow dome of plastered brick. In the dark you cannot see it, but you know it is there, curved and close. And this knowledge is not confining. It is the right shape for sleeping under. The Silk Road caravanserais of Persia were spaced precisely 1 day's camel journey apart, roughly 30 kilometers, so that no traveler would be caught in the open after dark. Someone measured this with great care. Someone rode the road, watching the sun in the distance, and placed the buildings where they needed to be. This is a form of kindness that required no introduction and made no speeches. You arrived with dust on your clothes and a tiredness in your legs that went past tired into something simple and structural. You ate. You washed your face in cool water from a stone basin in the courtyard. Both of these things were ready for you. Neither required explanation. Through the narrow window above your mat, a small rectangle of night sky holds 2 stars and part of a third. The courtyard outside your door is quiet now. The merchants are sleeping. The camels are settled in the stable on the far side, and they too have reached their conclusion about the day. Occasionally one shifts, one low sound, and then silence reclaims the courtyard as easily as it left. Your boots are beside the mat. Your bag is under your head, which is not as uncomfortable as it sounds once you stop comparing it to other arrangements. The ceiling dome curves above you in the dark. You are 30 kilometers from where you were this morning. Tomorrow, you will be 30 more. This arithmetic is neither daunting nor exciting tonight. It is simply the shape of movement, one day placed after another, the road parceled into bearable portions by people who thought about you before you existed. The 2 stars in your window do not move, or move so slowly the motion is indistinguishable from stillness. Your tiredness settles deeper, past the legs now, into a general agreement between your body and the mat. The camel shifts once more and is quiet, and the silence of the courtyard fills the room and fills your chest and your open hands, and the small dome above you holds it all, curved and patient as your breath slows and slows and the road dissolves, and there is only the dark and the dome and the deep and wordless rest. Haber Scene 18. The calligrapher rests. You are in a scriptorium in late afternoon, though afternoon has nearly become something else. The light through the high windows has turned from white to the color of old honey and is moving slowly across the floor toward the far wall, which it will reach before anyone asks it to stop. The calligrapher finished an hour ago. You know this because the reed pen is lying clean and the inkstone is covered with a square of cloth to keep the surface from drying. These are the gestures of completion. The gestures themselves are a kind of script. Persian calligraphers practiced a style called nastaliq, which the calligrapher Mir Ali Tabrizi developed in the 14th century, and which remains to this day considered the most beautiful script in the world by people who think carefully about such things. It moves diagonally, the words sloping gently downward across the page, as though the letters themselves are leaning toward rest. This does not seem like an accident. The page the calligrapher was working on is set aside to dry. You can see it from where you are sitting, but cannot read it. What you can see is the shape of the text on the page, the way the lines slope, the way the spaces between words breathe, and the whole effect is of something said at the right pace by someone who was not hurrying. You have been hurrying lately. You are not hurrying now. The room holds the quiet that working rooms hold after work, which is a different quiet from empty rooms. This quiet has texture. It knows what happened here today. Your own hands are resting in your lap. You notice them as if from a small distance. They have been busy. They are not busy now. They have accepted this with more grace than you expected. The honey light moves another inch across the floor. On the shelf beside the window, the brushes and additional pens stand in a clay jar ordered by size. Someone put them there each day, and someone will take them out each morning. And between those 2 moments, they stand in their jar and exist without purpose, which is a form of rest available to brushes and also occasionally to people. The inkstone rests under its cloth. The page rests with its drying words. The light continues its unhurried crossing of the floor. You breathe in the smell of the room, ink and cedar and the faint sweetness of the reed, and let the smell be information rather than task. The letters on the page lean gently toward the margin. Your shoulders lean gently toward whatever comes after this. And the light thickens and deepens, and the room dims slowly from honey to amber to the soft dark of early evening, dimming, dimming, and your eyes follow the light down into the kindest dark and close. Scene 19, the hammam, after hours. You are in the cool room of a bathhouse after the last bathers have gone. The attendants closed the outer door some time ago. The lamps are turned low, and the steam from the hot rooms beyond drifts through the archway in slow shapes that take a moment to disappear. The cool room is domed, as the Persians understood that warmth rises, and a dome gives it somewhere to go, which is either physics or hospitality, or the same thing expressed differently. The dome above you is tiled in pale blue, and the low lamplight makes the tiles look like the underside of a sky on a day with very little to report. You are on one of the wide marble benches along the wall. The marble is cool through the linen you are lying on. Your skin is clean in the way that only heat and water together produce, a cleanness that goes past the surface and into the quality of the air touching you, which seems new tonight. The Persian bathhouse was a social institution and also a practical one, maintained by the city for everyone, where a merchant and a scholar and a craftsman were equally subject to the same steam and the same cool marble afterward. This democracy of the horizontal. Everyone ends up lying down. You have been lying down for some time. This was not a difficult decision. The steam continues to arrive from the inner rooms, which are still warm. The heat stored in the thick walls released slowly into the night. The building was designed to hold heat the way certain conversations hold warmth, long after the fire is out. A water droplet falls somewhere in the inner room, one clear sound. Then quiet reclaims the space without effort. Your muscles have opinions they have been keeping to themselves all day and have, in the last half hour, finally let go of those opinions. The marble received them without judgment. The pale blue tiles above you do not demand anything. The steam makes one more slow shape near the archway and is gone. You are thinking of nothing in particular, which is itself a thing you do not often manage, and you have arrived at it sideways, without noticing. The way you arrive at sleep when sleep is coming properly. The lamps hold their low light. The walls hold their warmth. The dome holds the pale blue dark above you, high and still. And your breath, which has been slow for some time now, slows further, and your body accepts the marble and the cool linen and the soft remaining warmth of the room, and the silence spreads from the inner rooms outward, through the archway, across the tiles, over the benches, and covers you completely, and you rest and the silence deepens and holds. Scene 20, the night watchman's last round. You are walking with the night watchman on his final circuit of the city quarter, which he will finish, and then, with the particular satisfaction of someone whose work has an actual end, go home to sleep. He has done this circuit for 11 years and knows it the way you know a sentence you have said so many times it no longer requires thought. Left at the dyer's workshop, which is closed and dark, straight along the wall where the plane trees stand in a row, their pale trunks catching a small amount of moonlight and doing something useful with it. Right at the caravanserai gate. He does not think about these turns. His feet know the grammar. The night watchmen of Persian cities carried lanterns and struck the ground with a staff at intervals, a sound the sleeping city heard and incorporated into sleep, proof that someone was awake so that everyone else need not be. This is an arrangement that required someone to agree to the watching and everyone else to agree to the sleeping, and it worked, and it was a form of trust made into a job. You are not required to do anything on this circuit. You are here as a presence, which is all that is asked. The city is deeply asleep. You can hear the quality of it, a fullness in the quiet, rooms of breathing behind every wall, the sound of rest at scale. The night watchman is unimpressed by this, having heard it every night for 11 years. You find it remarkable. The plane trees stand in their row. One leaf moves in a small wind that passes and does not return. The watchman's staff meets the stone. You walk at the pace he walks, which is unhurried and steady, the pace of someone who has learned that the distance will be covered regardless, that there is no efficiency available to a man walking in a circle. The last lamplight you will pass before he turns toward home is at the corner of the silk merchant's house, where the lamp is mounted in an iron bracket and has been burning since before midnight, doing its one quiet job. The watchman pauses beneath it, looks down the street. Everything is as it should be, which is his preferred outcome and the least dramatic conclusion possible, and he has learned to find it genuinely satisfying. You stand beside him for a moment. The city breathes in its sleep. The lamp holds its small pool of warm light on the stones, and then he nods once to no one in particular, or perhaps to the night itself, and turns for home. And you remain a moment longer in the lamplight, and the night gathers close around the light, and the light grows slowly, gently smaller and smaller, and the city breathes, and the light fades, and the dark arrives like a blanket pulled softly to the chin, and there is nothing now but the breathing and the dark and sleep. Scene 21. The scribe puts down his pen. You are in the scriptorium of a royal library, and the last scribe working tonight has just placed his reed pen in the clay rest beside his lamp and decided, officially, that he is done. This decision took him longer than the actual putting down of the pen, which was instantaneous. The deciding was the labor. The library of the Achaemenid court kept copies of texts from Babylon, Egypt, India, and Greece, gathered in the understanding that knowledge collected in one place is more useful than knowledge distributed in many places where it might get rained on. The scribes who maintained these collections worked by oil lamp in rooms that smelled of papyrus and cedar and the particular dry dust of old thought. You are seated near the wall, on a low cushioned bench that someone placed here for reasons no one remembers, though the reasons were good. The scribe is rolling the papyrus he worked on tonight and tying it with a cord the particular color of dried reed. He does this without looking at his hands because his hands have done this 10,000 times and no longer require supervision. The lamp between you is a small one. Its flame is steady. There is not enough draft in this room to trouble a flame, which is by design, because papyrus and draft are a combination someone already thought about. The shelves rise on 3 walls. The scrolls in them contain mathematics and medicine and poetry and legal argument, and at least one text about the correct maintenance of irrigation channels, which is less romantic than poetry but more immediately necessary depending on the season. You look at the shelves for a while. You do not need to open anything. The weight of all that patient, recorded thought is enough. It presses gently on the room like warmth. The scribe stretches his right hand, fingers spread, and examines it briefly with the expression of a man reviewing an employee with whom he has a complicated relationship. He closes his hand, sets it down. All the great urgencies of the day, the decisions and the messages and the names to remember, are on the shelves or in the pile beside the scribe's table, filed, addressed, or at least written down. Written down is not finished, but it is contained, and contained is enough for tonight. The scribe pulls his outer robe around his shoulders. He looks at the lamp and then decides to leave it burning for whoever comes next, in the morning or in some other century. Libraries are not entirely subject to ordinary time. Your eyes have been heavy for some time. The scrolls stand in their rows, patient and dark. The lamp holds its quiet flame. The room smells of cedar and old papyrus and the faint oil smoke of a lamp doing exactly what a lamp should do. And your breath deepens once and again, and the flame at the edge of your vision softens and blurs, and the room dims gently at its edges, and dimmer, and the lamp becomes a warm suggestion, and then a glow, and then your eyes are closed. Scene 22. The orchard at full dark. You are in a Persian orchard at the hour when the last color has left the sky and the trees are shapes rather than trees. Familiar presences in the dark you no longer need to see clearly. The word paradise comes from the old Persian word paradisa, meaning a walled garden or enclosure. And the Persians built these gardens not as luxury, but as argument, a demonstration that water and patience and a good wall could make abundance in the middle of difficult land. Later languages borrowed the word and elevated it. The Persians would have found this gratifying and also slightly beside the point. The point was the garden. You are walking slowly on the path between the rows, pomegranate and quince and fig on one side, apricot on the other. The trees are old enough that their shapes are settled, their branches understanding by now what they are doing and where they are going. The air in here is cooler than the air outside the walls. The trees release the heat of the day slowly, and the moisture of the irrigation channels moved through the soil, and the evening arrived in this garden softer than it arrived anywhere else. Your feet know the path. There is just enough starlight for this. You are not walking to get anywhere. The path is circular. You knew this when you started, and it seemed appropriate for tonight. Motion that returns to where it began, which is one of those things that looks like a failure to make progress and is actually something else. A pomegranate has fallen somewhere ahead of you on the path. You step around it in the dark, sensing rather than seeing it, your feet having learned the particular give of the soil around this tree. The leaves move in a small wind. Not all of them, just the ones at the ends of branches, the most recent growth, the most willing to respond. There is a stone bench at the turn in the path. You've been walking toward it without deciding to. This is how the bench works. It has been at the turn in the path for 40 years, and the decision-making has been worn smooth. You sit. The trees stand in their rows in the dark. They do not need you to see them. They have been here all day, being trees without an audience, and have managed perfectly. A fruit bat crosses the gap of sky between two branches, there and gone, doing its own quiet work. Your hands are in your lap. The garden does not ask anything of you. This is the thing about gardens built with such patience. They have enough. They are not waiting on you. The trees breathe their cool, dark breath. Your shoulders drop, and the silence of the orchard, which has been here all along beneath the small sounds, rises slowly and fills the space between the branches. and fills the space between your thoughts, one and then another, until there are no more thoughts, only the dark garden and the cool air and the sound of your own breath, slow and even and fading. Scene 23. The Caravanserai Courtyard, midnight. You are in the central courtyard of a caravanserai, and the great journey of the day is completely finished. The caravans arrived this afternoon from 3 directions, with their separate urgencies, their camels complaining at volumes that left no ambiguity about how the camels felt about the day. Those complaints are over. The camels are folded into their habitual configurations of rest along the covered galleries, which is the posture of an animal that has made its peace with existing and expects to continue. The caravanserai was a Persian institution replicated across the ancient world, spaced a day's journey apart on the trade roads so that travelers could always count on reaching shelter by nightfall. This was infrastructure as hospitality, built by the state and maintained for the merchant, which is one of the more practical expressions of the idea that commerce requires trust. The courtyard is open to the sky. Above the square of the walls, the stars are extravagant. You are seated on the low wall of the central fountain. The fountain is still running. Water from an underground channel that enters the caravanserai through the wall to the north and has been entering this way for as long as anyone now alive can remember. The sound of it is continuous and unremarkable, the way a sound becomes unremarkable when it never stops, which is its own form of comfort. Around the galleries, the travelers are deeply asleep. A merchant from Samarkand lies with his boots still on, which tells its own story about how the day went. 3 scholars from a city you do not know are arranged around their shared lamp, which has gone out, their debate concluded by the only argument that ends every argument. A single lamp burns in the archway of the gate. The gatekeeper beneath it has been awake for an impressively long time, and is now asleep in his chair with the specific dignity of someone who will claim, if asked, that he was simply resting his eyes. He is not resting his eyes. The fountain continues. The camels breathe in their long, slow way. You look up at the stars, which are performing their usual indifference to the particular humans gathered beneath them, and find this, tonight, not cold but restful. The stars are not indifferent so much as very, very patient. There is a difference. The night air carries the smell of hay and warm stone and the faint spice ghost of goods that pass through today's saddlebags, cardamom or pepper or something almost remembered. Your hands rest on the cool stone of the fountain wall. The water sounds over the stone in the basin. One note, low and continuous, the same note it has played through every night this building has stood. Your eyes have been closing for some time without your full participation. The stars hold their positions, the fountain runs, and the sound of the water deepens and widens and becomes slowly, simply the sound of the night itself, and your breath follows it down and down, and the courtyard is full of sleeping, and you join it without effort, and the sound of water is the last thing, and then only the sound. Scene 24. The astronomer climbs down. You are watching the royal astronomer descend the stairs of the observation tower, which she does with the careful step of someone returning from a great height and a greater distance. She has been up there since the 2nd hour past sunset. This was voluntary. No one required her to stand on a cold stone platform in the dark, tracking the movement of objects that will continue moving whether tracked or not. She did it because the night sky over Persepolis, on a clear night in this season, is an argument she cannot resist attending. Persian astronomers of the Achaemenid period produced records of celestial observations that were precise enough to be useful to later European scientists who trusted the measurements while being slightly awkward about where they came from. Science has always been an inheritance with complicated paperwork. She reaches the bottom of the stairs and sets her instrument case down on the table in the lower room with the sound of someone setting down something they love, but which has tonight been heavy. You are in the chair beside the table. You have been here for some time. It is a good chair for a room like this, the sort of chair that takes an interest in whoever sits in it. She pours water from the jar on the table, drinks it standing, and then sits across from you and looks at her notes by the lamp. The notes are numbers and diagrams, the positions of 3 planets recorded with the patience of someone who believes that pattern matters, that the sky is a text worth reading, that precision is a form of respect. She does not speak. This is not unfriendly. She is still partly up on the roof. You look at the lamp between you. It has been burning since before she went up, and the oil is low now but sufficient, which is a reasonable summary of most things at this hour. The tower is thick-walled. The night outside makes no sound that reaches in here. You think, not urgently, about all the things in your own life that you have observed and recorded and tried to find the pattern in, and whether patience is the skill you thought it was, or something quieter, a kind of willingness to stay present past the point where you expected the answer. The astronomer makes one more note, puts down her stylus, looks at nothing for a moment in the way of someone who has just put something large and complete behind her. She closes her eyes, you close yours. The lamp between you burns at its low and steady level, neither hurrying nor pausing, the flame so still that the room holds it like a breath. Your thoughts, which had gathered briefly, release. The walls hold the silence, and the light, patient and small, keeps its quiet watch over 2 people who no longer need it, and asks nothing, and the warmth of it rests on your closed eyelids like a hand, and you are somewhere between the room and sleep, and then only sleep. Scene 25, Rain on the Desert Road. You are inside the way station at the edge of the desert, and rain, which was not promised and is not common, has arrived. It began an hour ago as a sound you could not identify, which turned out to be the sound of water on dry stone, a combination that takes a moment to recognize in a place where it so rarely happens. Then it became rain in the ordinary sense, falling steadily on the roof of the way station and on the road outside and on the desert beyond the road, which is receiving it with the patience of something that has been waiting without complaint. The Achaemenid Royal Road ran from Sardis to Susa, nearly 3,000 kilometers, maintained by royal post and way station. Its riders famous for moving through rain and heat and dark and snow, with a devotion to a rival that later found its way, with flattery and some adjustment, into the motto of postal services that came long after. The original riders would find this amusing. They would probably find a great many things amusing. The way station keeper has given you a room with a sleeping mat and a lamp and a blanket that has the quality of a blanket that has kept many people warm without asking to be congratulated for it. You are lying on the mat. The rain on the roof is the only sound. It is not a dramatic rain. It is a steady rain, purposeful, falling at the pace of rain that has decided to continue for a while and sees no reason to make an event of it. The lamp is on the low shelf across the room. It makes the wall warm and makes the corner of the ceiling warm and makes the air in the room a gentle amber and does not reach the darker corners, which do not require reaching. Your blanket is the right weight. This is not a small thing. The right weight of blanket at the right moment is a form of grace that requires no further analysis. You had things to think about when you arrived tonight. You may still have them. It is difficult to locate them now. The rain has moved into the space where they were, and it is possible they will be there again in the morning, in which case the morning can have them. Tonight the rain has the road, and the desert, and the roof of this small stone building, and you, underneath the roof, underneath the blanket, underneath the day. The lamp gives its amber warmth. The rain continues without varying its pace, which is the single most reassuring thing about this rain, that it is not building toward anything, not arriving or departing, simply here, simply falling, simply the sound that belongs to this night on this desert road in this small room. Your breath slows to match it, and the sound of rain fills everything slowly, and the amber light at the edge of your closed eyes dims by small degrees, and the blanket is the right weight, and the rain continues, and your breath is very slow now, and the sound is everywhere and very soft, and softening still. Scene 26. The weaver slows her loom. You are sitting beside the window in the weaving room, and the light coming through it is the late afternoon kind, low and unhurried, the kind that has already done its best work and is now simply resting on whatever it finds. The weaver across from you has been at her loom since morning. This is not unusual. The carpet she is making has been underway for 11 months, and 11 months from now it will still be underway. And she has made her peace with this in the way that people make peace with things they chose freely and would choose again. Persian carpets of the Achaemenid period were considered among the most valuable objects in the known world. When Cyrus the Great was buried, his tomb was furnished with carpets of extraordinary fineness. Alexander of Macedonia reportedly stood in the burial chamber and was briefly humbled, which was not something that happened to him often or that he particularly enjoyed. The weaver's hands move through the threads with the precision of someone who has done this long enough that the hands know before the mind does. She is watching a point slightly past the loom, the way of someone whose eyes are present, but whose attention has gone somewhere else, somewhere quiet. You have no task in this room. You are here because the room is warm, and the sound of the loom is a sound with a rhythm, the small wooden knock and pull, regular as breathing. You think briefly about the things you have been building slowly in your own life, the relationships, the habits, the small daily acts that only become visible as patterns from a distance. Most of your life is not visible as a pattern yet. This is not a failure. It is simply the condition of being inside the thing you are making. The weaver reaches the end of a row and pauses. She does not look up. She runs one finger across the threads the way you might check something you already know is right. Outside, the compound is quieter than it was an hour ago. The animals have been settled. The cooking smells from the other room have become background. The light through the window has moved from your hands to the floor while you were not watching. The loom is still now. The weaver sits with her hands in her lap for a moment, and her breath is audible and slow, and her eyes are soft. Yours are the same. The carpet holds its colors in the low light, red and gold, and the deep blue that took 3 months of work to earn, and it does not ask you to admire it, only sits there being what it is, patient and dense and warm. Your thoughts unspool gently and lie where they fall. The room holds the last warmth of the afternoon, and the light flattens by small degrees against the wall, and the loom is quiet, and the colors of the carpet dim softly as the room dims, and your eyes are very heavy, and the light is almost gone, and the warmth remains and dims and is gone. Scene 27. The garden at second dark. You are in the walled garden, and the hour is what the Persians called second dark, the time after the lamps have been carried inside and before the moon has cleared the eastern wall. It is not entirely dark. The sky above the garden holds its own faint luminescence, the residue of a day that ended some time ago but has not fully let go. You can see the shapes of the cypress trees, tall and deliberate, the kind of trees that seem to have opinions about the vertical. The Persians gave the world the word paradise. It comes from paradisa, meaning a walled garden, an enclosed park of water and shade and cultivated beauty. The word traveled through Greek and Latin and arrived in languages that used it for the highest imaginable place, which suggests that whoever inherited it understood something about what a well-made garden can feel like on a quiet evening with no obligations. You are sitting on the low stone bench near the reflecting pool. The water is still. There is no wind tonight, which is a gift, because still water at this hour becomes a second sky, and the faint stars above you are also below you, and sitting between them is a peculiar and peaceful thing. A nightjar somewhere on the garden wall makes its single churring note and then stops, apparently satisfied. You have been in motion all day. This is not remarkable. Most days are in motion. The days that are not occasionally feel suspicious, as though stillness must be preparing something. Tonight, you know it is not. Tonight, stillness is simply what is here. The cypress trees hold their shapes. The pool holds its sky. You think about all the walls in your life that exist not to keep things out, but to make a space worth being inside. The routines, the rooms, the people who create a boundary around something good. A container is not a restriction. It is the condition of having something to return to. This thought arrives and does not demand anything. It simply sits beside you on the bench. Your hands are in your lap. The stone beneath you holds the last warmth of the day in the way that stone does, slowly and without enthusiasm but reliably. The nightjar does not call again. The stars in the pool do not move. Your shoulders have descended since you arrived here. You notice this the way you notice something that has already happened. The cypress trees are shadows, and then shapes, and then shadows again as your eyes soften. And the garden holds its breath, and the pool holds the sky, and the silence between one moment and the next grows long and longer, and your breath is slow, and the stars below you are very still, and the dark is generous and complete, and you are inside it, and you are held. Scene 28. The scribe finishes. You are in the corner of the records room, where the walls are lined with clay tablets stacked in the order of someone who developed their system years ago and would rather not explain it. The scribe is finishing. He has been here since the morning watch, and it is now well past the evening meal, and he has the focused quiet of someone who set out to complete something and has just seen the end of it from a comfortable distance. He presses the final marks into the tablet with the reed stylus, which makes a sound like a whisper with a purpose. The records at Persepolis were extraordinary in their detail. Tens of thousands of clay tablets recorded rations for workers who built the great terraces, listing names, amounts of grain and wine and livestock, wages paid to workers from across the empire regardless of origin. The empire ran in part on accurate paperwork. This is both prosaic and somehow moving, that behind every carved column there is an invoice. The scribe sets the stylus down. He looks at the finished tablet the way you look at something you have carried a long distance and can finally put on a table. Then he sets it with the others and does not look at it again. This is the thing about completed work. The moment it is finished, it belongs to somewhere else, to the record, to the future reader, to the stack. You do not carry it anymore. You simply did it, and now it is done, and the doing is the whole of what was yours. You have your own finished things from today. They are done in the way his tablet is done. You do not need to review them. They are already in the stack. The lamp on the scribe's table is the only lamp still burning in this part of the building. He makes no move to extinguish it. He simply sits back in his chair with the ease of someone whose body has been waiting for exactly this permission. The room smells of clay and oil and the particular dry calm of stored records. Your chair is good. It has been good for a while, and you have only now noticed. The scribe folds his hands, closes his eyes, breathes. You do the same. The room is warm in the way of rooms where someone has worked steadily for many hours, the warmth of effort completed and released. The lamp makes its small sound, oil and wick and a flame that has been burning faithfully all evening and asked for nothing, only this, to light the work until the work was done. And the room is very still, and your hands are folded, and the clay smell is close and quiet, and the flame bends once in a draft that finds no answer, and your breathing is slow and then slower, and the sound of the stylus is already only a memory, already fading, already something that happened in another part of the night. Scene 29. The bathhouse after dark. You are in the cooling room of the bathhouse, and everyone else left some time ago. The bathhouse at this hour belongs to a different category of place than it does during the day. During the day it is social, a place of voices and warm water, and the mild chaos of people who have things to discuss. Now it is simply a room that holds warmth and steam, and the low sound of water draining somewhere slowly in the pipes beneath the floor. You are lying on the stone bench, which is warm from the heated room it adjoins. A linen cloth is beneath you. The air is humid and close, and the temperature is exactly the temperature at which the body stops negotiating and simply agrees. The Persians built bath complexes that combine steam rooms, cold plunges, and heated resting areas. And in this, they were ahead of much that came after, the Romans included, though the Romans would prefer you not say so. And at this point in history, neither culture is available to object. The steam rises from the vents in the floor and makes the lamplight soft and circular. You have been tense for several days. This is not unusual. Tension is a habit with good intentions, a system designed for problems that rarely arrive in the form expected. The heat has been taking it apart for the past hour, without making a fuss, working from the shoulders inward, from the jaw downward, patient as someone dismantling something that was always temporary. You breathe the warm, humid air. It tastes of cedar and mineral water and the particular depth of a room that has been warm for many hours. Your body on the stone bench is heavy, not the heavy of fatigue or trouble, the other kind. The kind that arrives when the body believes, for the first time in some time, that it can stop holding itself together, that the stone beneath it is doing that work now, that the warmth around it is sufficient, that nothing further is required. This is a form of trust. letting a surface take your weight entirely. Most people do it every night without naming it. Here now, you can name it if you want, or not. The water drains slowly. The lamp in the corner breathes with the steam. Your hands have opened. Sometime between arriving here and arriving here, your fingers uncurled and now lie flat and open on the warm cloth. And you did not decide to do this. Your hands decided without you, which is the correct order of things at this hour. And the steam moves very slowly above you, and the warmth is everywhere it should be, and the stone holds you, and your breath is long and even, and the sound of the water below the floor is a pulse, is a rhythm, is something you follow without meaning to, down and down, through the warm air, through the warm dark, all the way down. Scene 30. The gatekeeper's last round. You are following the night gatekeeper on his final round of the citadel walls, though following is generous, because you are some distance behind him and walking considerably more slowly. He does not mind. He has done this walk for many years and knows where it ends. The path along the top of the wall is wide enough for two people if they are comfortable with each other. You are comfortable with the night and the wall and the gatekeeper's unhurried shape ahead of you, and this is sufficient. Below the wall on one side, the city has gone quiet. Lamps are extinguished in windows at the pace of a city that knows what time it is. On the other side of the wall, open land runs toward the mountains, and the mountains are visible as a deeper dark against the sky, solid and enormous and entirely unconcerned. The Achaemenid fortifications at Persepolis were not primarily military. They were ceremonial, designed to express the idea of order, of a center around which the known world arranged itself. The walls said, "Here is the place." The gatekeeper's rounds said, "The place is held." Both statements were, at this hour, forms of reassurance addressed to no one in particular, which is perhaps the most honest kind. The gatekeeper pauses at the far corner of the wall and looks out at the mountains. He does this every night, not checking anything, simply looking. You arrive beside him and look also. The mountains are the mountains. They were here before the wall and will be hereafter. They hold the valley and the city and this wall and these two people looking at them, and ask nothing in return, and offer nothing except their continued presence, which is, if you think about it, not a small offering. You think about the things in your life that are simply present, the people, the rooms, the sky above a familiar street. They do not announce themselves. They are simply there when you turn toward them. Noticing them costs nothing. It returns something. The gatekeeper turns from the mountains and continues his round. You fall in behind him again. The stars above the wall are dense and very clear. The air has the temperature of air that means you well. Your footsteps on the stone are quiet. He reaches the gate and stands for a moment, looks at the bar across it, which is where it should be, nods at nothing in particular, turns toward the guardroom. You are already slowing. The gate holds. The mountains hold. The stars above the wall require nothing from you, and your eyes are very heavy now, and the footsteps have stopped, and the silence that follows them spreads slowly outward from where you stand, across the wall and over the sleeping city and toward the mountains.